July 15, 2025, and this is the work group meeting. We've devoted, we're supposed to meet for 90 minutes today, and we've blocked off approximately 80 minutes for additional discussion regarding Section 8 transportation KPIs and exhibits. Dr. Shafty, is there anything you'd like to say about the new documents?
Sure, I can provide a little bit of context, but I'm just for everybody, we revisited 8.3 and provided an updated IEP related service report. When it's time, or if you would like the document shared, we did include student numbers as a unique identifier. So you could see line by line each student represented on the report. The team that pulled the report wanted to provide a note that the data presented reflect end of year enrollment figures. So discrepancies may exist between the number of students with transportation accommodations reported in these summaries and those in the previous reports. The differences are due to variations in data sources. Enrollment for us comes from Focus, which is our student information system. And PEER is the state-approved special education system. Sometimes the PEER reports include students that were no longer attending school or whose families chose not to enroll them after an evaluation. So we support some of our non-district operated schools in oversight of their IEP services. So there may be a student that pulls into the total counts on the PEER platform, but wouldn't be in Focus, which is our student information system. To provide the most accurate picture, the report only includes students who are actively enrolled at the end of the year based on Focus data. So intentionality was provided on the total count tab. The total counts now do align with the individual counts if you were to summarize line by line totals and overall. So as we look at that document, that's the total count. And if there's a desire to show the individual tabs, if we can have some notice on that and hide the student ID number.
For this document, Dr. Shafty, is there any tab here that where we can cross-reference each student that requires a transportation IEP to verify that each student requiring a transportation IEP is receiving that IEP? Is that indicated on this document?
I believe in the service, but let me open it just to confirm.
That why they're on the list.
So they wouldn't pull into these individual accounts if they didn't have an IEP.
Right. Right. So I understand that, but then how do we know that every student that requires an IEP appears on this list, this curb to curb list?
I believe the list.
Can I stop for a second? I'm sorry, y'all, just to pause. Tony can't get in. Matt, could you email him another link? His is not working.
Yeah, I only have the one link that I forwarded to y'all.
Yeah, could you send it to him, please?
Maybe you delete it, cut and paste it or something.
I don't know
Yeah,
if Matt
I
has
tried to do
Tony's
it, does it?
email. I'll send it. I don't know if Matt has Tony's email.
Yeah, I don't either. Thanks, Jody.
Okay. Yep, I'll send it over.
It's pulling from the state system, right?
Okay.
So this is a list that identifies every student who has an IEP and identified on that IEP is being provided the door-to-door transportation. It does not include all students with an IEP. So the field in which the state's IEP system, so this is not necessarily our system, it's the state system, is where that information is being pulled from. So this captures every kid with an IEP and within that IEP, the IEP team has decided door-to-door transportation will be provided.
So that information is pulled from a state level system that would indicate every transportation related service IEP or every IEP that requires a transportation related service.
Correct. So if you are looking at that document, the first tab, student that's hidden, then it's grade, school, the primary exceptionality, which generates the need for an IEP is the next tab. ESE, of course, those are all flagged yes, because that would be the exceptional student education classification. The next tab is transported students, which has been filtered to yes, because as a result of their primary exceptionality, they have been pulled into the report. And then the transportation special need, even though you're seeing a lot of CTC curb to curb, you'll see some instances where they need extended school year transportation, or for our most fragile students, they require a bus aid, whether it's due to their fragility or their age, if they're pre-K. So this is everybody. This is every student in the system who requires a transportation accommodation as a result of an IEP.
So we're wondering how, based on what we were provided, we can verify that it is everyone.
Okay, Tony worked.
I don't have one.
We're thinking, unless that you unfilter that report, is that report filtered? Or was it filtered, copied and sent?
Filtered, copied, and sent.
So we'll have to get the original file, and then what you could look at is, and I'm assuming at this point, there's transportation required, yes, and the opposite would be no, and that would be the sum of everyone who has an IEP and transportation.
Right.
Let us peruse the file. Can you unfilter?
I can only but they have the full file of all students.
Who's they?
This file has sorry, we're just talking it through it. This file has been filled. You can interact with the filter in the last column for race and unfilter. But that's the only filterable part of the report right now.
You can't filter transportation.
It's sure we can intercept.
Who sent it, Daphne or?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna go ask. Let me go on, I'm gonna go ask if it's right here.
We're gonna try and provide that report at some point during the meeting.
Okay, great.
But hey,
Dr. Moore asked if if the team would be amenable to go to 8.8.
I don't see a problem with that. Everybody else, we want to move on to 8.8 while we put this on hold.
Hearing no objections. Let's go to
Okay.
8.8.
8.8 is the district shall ensure that the duration of daily student transportation is non-discriminatory. For 8.8, we provided, we have rulemaking that we're guided by the state for expectations that we adhere to. School bus transportation is provided for all eligible students. We re-explained the choice school and the depot stop location. We added the rulemaking has specific expectations regarding routes and schedules. So we cited that in the document just so we could see it. And then included that requests for stop changes or additions must be routed through the routing department and approved by our fantastic director of transportation, who is here if you have any questions.
Okay, did you also provide to us like the student data for us to kind of break it down? Because I know in the last meeting, we discussed how we saw like route duration, but we're not able to break it down to actually look at the student data and by race.
We don't have that.
Because in order for us to really know, like if it's non-discriminatory, then we need to be able to kind of disaggregate it and look at it at a lower level.
What data, I'm sorry, catch me up.
I requested the interesting. That's right.
But what did we provide and how we're trying to determine?
Duration of routes. Using
The
geo
runtime.
we provided run times and locations
For all students?
for every route, 67 routes.
Right, for our routes.
And tiers of routes. To show that we weren't going over the required time. But we don't have that by student. We don't have a way to track. I get on the bus specifically at this time and get off, and this Idlet gets on the bus this time and gets off. We don't have that. The maximum duration would be the maximum ridership.
Yes, say it aloud. I mean, I don't know.
We wouldn't have it student level. Our system for our buses use geofences from the time they leave the depot to the time they arrive at the school. And the duration spreadsheet has the tiers of by route, AM and PM. And the first time is the time the bus departs. The arrival at school is the time it hits the geofence. And every student, I think it could be a fair assumption that somewhere in that very first time to the very last time, that's the duration of the ridership for students. We provided the maximum amount of time the student would be on the bus.
From first stop.
From first stop to location and school to home, or school to the time really the bus returns.
You don't keep the data on like which of the students which students get on at this bus depot stop, or which students are assigned this bus depot stop, so we could understand like how many students get on at a certain stop and the demographics of that student?
Not for all ridership. We do not have a complete report for all student ridership. Now, during the school year, those students that register for the bus are indicated on the route sheet according to stop.
Okay.
So are we saying that the conclusion is insufficient data to vote on the indicator?
I don't think we feel that way. But if we want to call for a vote, we can.
Is there? What are we trying to solve?
Amount of time spent on each student, and the time we get on and the time we get the application.
It's just, it may be helpful just to, I'll just read the KPI. From my notes, it says, the district shall ensure that the duration of daily student transportation is non-discriminatory. So I think what we're trying to understand is how that's tracked, how that data is reported, if it is or not, to ensure that those ride times are not discriminatory.
I suppose our response with the ridership by tiers for departure and arrivals, that's how we would track that. Because we can't control the number of the stop the student is picked up at. And the length of time is really contingent upon the efficiency of the route while still staying in the confines of the maximum number of minutes to not exceed it.
Which is what, is there some kind of statute or something? What is the statute?
40 minutes. 40 minutes for elementary, no more than an hour for secondary.
And students are solely assigned their bus stop based on their resident,
Their address, home address.
and every school is appropriately zoned. Or zoned. So if we're able, I mean, I think we're clearly able to demonstrate the statutory requirement, which means 40 minutes and an hour for the secondary students. And assignments are not based on anything other than for all students, based on where you live. So the practice itself, there's no way to discriminate against one student or the other, because the procedure is you live at X, your bus stop is Y, which is always the closest bus stop to your house. And the length on the bus is under the required 40 or 60 minutes. And the length, the individual students is based on where you are in the pickup flow. First is going to be the longest and the last is going to be the shortest.
But
I-
go ahead, Judith.
I was just going to say, I understand that the ridership has increased significantly with, over the past 2 years with the change to bus depots and with school choice. How do we reconcile that with what you're saying about the bus stop that's closest to the homes? Because that's not always going to be the case now with school choice, as I understand it.
As far
In
as
other
school
words,
as far as school choice, you're correct. So they're provided the closest bus stop to their home address within the zone of their choice school.
So
in theory-
upon enrollment, when you track like what stop that's taking, that data is available. So even if I assume like, you know, if I get that we can't account for if a student happens to get on at another stop, but when they sign up for ridership and they assign a stop, we know which students are getting on the bus at which stops. And so that data is available. Can we have that data so we can get a better picture of, let's say, like how many students are getting on a stop that takes 20 minutes versus how many students are getting on a stop at a stop that takes 60 minutes? And then that racial data, so we can actually disaggregate the duration and race.
So as I stated, students who complete the bus registration process are assigned to a bus. So the data first is going to be incomplete because all parents don't complete the bus registration process. Now, can we give you that data now? I'm unsure because we've wiped all the data clean for 25-26. We're working on 25-26 registrations at this point. So we'd have to check with IT to see if that's retrievable for the prior year.
Now, our registrations, is race a required field on
Race is not a
registration?
required field for registrations.
So therefore, it can't be discriminatory one way or the other because you don't even know what the race is.
That's not necessarily true, Dr. Moore. Like even when you said about like complying with the law, because we comply with the law, then we can't discriminate. We see unequal application of the law. We see disproportionate punishment when it comes to the unequal application of the law. So like just realistically though, like as Adrian was saying earlier, yeah, you may be under the statutory period, but we don't know if we don't have the data to look at the student assignment and to say, okay, the buses that are in Gifford, they're averaging 40 minutes or 60 minutes, whereas the buses that are in Vero are averaging 20 minutes on the routes. Like we don't know any of that because we don't have the data. And it would be reckless of us to just say, okay, this
They have the right to
indicator is complied with without us doing our due diligence.
By school?
Yeah, we have that.
Yes,
We provided that.
You provided race and student data?
No, you said by school.
No, I said by race. the student data.
Oh, I thought you said like you were
I
comparing
said-
Gifford to another school.
I said Gifford and Vero. Yeah,
Right, we provided that.
yeah, but we don't know who's on the bus, which is why we need the student data.
What we have is the schools, the routes, and the miles.
Runtime.
Runs, yeah.
Not miles, but the amount of time for that tier by school.
Question. Don't you all track those students by ID cards? Don't you have some form of knowing what student is on what bus?
Well, we do have the Z-Pass program, and again, if the student chooses to tap on and tap off. And I can tell you, if we were to retrieve that data, it would be inaccurate. Because we're not at 100% compliant.
But wouldn't that give us something to look at because it would identify those students relative to race?
It would not identify those students relative to race.
Why are we not collecting race when we're under a DSEG? Like we had this conversation in 2020 with Rendell and then Moxley. Like why are we not collecting that when we know that there's an obligation, right? Like we know that this has been ongoing. I'm not understanding like why we're not.
We don't have a field in our bus registration process for race, nor is it in the software when we actually register them. So now, if you can pull it by focus, the student information system, then maybe something different. But as far as transportation, we only utilize home addresses based on focus. Verification of that. Every student that requests a bus, get a bus and a bus stop.
How
Or
are the,
did-
I have a question. How are the routes determined?
How are the routes determined?
Yes,
Based on
ma'am.
need. Based on
No,
need.
let me rephrase that. Like, do you go back and forth? Do you go in circles or do you start from the edge, go towards the school?
Start from the furthest point
Okay.
and head to the school, yes.
And so where a black kid or where a white kid lives is quite beside the point as far as calculating the route is concerned, correct?
That is correct.
But it is relative to the number of minutes that a kid will spend on the bus.
I understand, but to me, it
It's
seems
relative
like,
to the location of the address to the school.
yeah,
That's
it's,
nothing. Race, travel
it's a-
time from that address to the school location.
I mean, it seems to me it's more a function of zoning, which is not necessarily specifically part of this KPI or even this section. And it's a function of where folks live, which is not necessarily a function of this KPI or this section. But the thing that the district can control is knowing that all of these pickups and drop-offs have to occur within a certain time frame, and they comply with that.
And the data that they also control the data that they provide to us in order for us to know that, because we're not professionals in this area. So we wouldn't know without receiving data to kind of show us and for us to be able to review that data.
Let's go to the next. I don't know if it's an impasse, but we can go back and look at what data that we could possibly provide. Even if I'm just talking it aloud, if we had a data that identified every student and race by stop and school. If we have that, I mean, let's provide it. I don't know if it would, or stops in focus.
Yeah.
does each stop have an identified amount of time? Like if I stop at 43rd and H Street, how do you know how much time that person's spending on the stop?
That's the estimated time that's on the route.
So
So
it-
that factors back to max time on the bus. So from the report, I guess that they're requesting, you would be able to see the student's address in comparison to the bus stop. And compare that to max time on the bus by race, I guess.
Well, I think what they're looking to is to say, if I get on a bus on stop C and there's 10 kids that are on that stop and they are black. And then 5 stops down the road, 10 kids get on the next stop, whatever, and they're on the bus and they're white or whatever. Or 30 white kids get on the bus. It could be a discriminatory action that black students are spending more time on the bus than those white students, and play out those ratios. And the flip side is,
Efficiency of a route.
right, so then how do you change, the routes are designed based on furthest out,
Location.
closest in.
That's
Then how
not what we're saying, Dr. Moore. We're saying that it could very well be non-discriminatory. We're not saying that, oh, it's discriminatory and we're looking for it. All we're saying is that we have not received data for us to confirm and do our due diligence to say.
Figure out how to give the data and then how to filter the data down for us collectively to get to your probing question. So I'm just trying to talk it out because I think the data's the data's going to be just fine. We just got to figure out a way in which to provide it. Because at the end of the day, the schools are so close to each other. I mean, yeah. All right, we're gonna have to go back on that one. What's the next one? Skip. That's okay. Okay, good. We go.
9 is distance, which seems to me might suffer the same concerns as duration.
Agreed.
This
The
All right,
separate
but,
point here is the distance traveled from home to the pickup location. And we haven't received data on home to pickup location.
do we even have that?
once they were done.
It'll show you the walk distance to the bus stop once they're assigned. That's the data you're looking for, walk distance to the bus stop? Is that what you're referring to?
It just says the KPI is the distance traveled from students' home to assigned pickup location.
So Ms.
that's
Idolette
the
said,
bus
is that the walking distance from their home to the bus stop?
Yeah.
And is that also the depot stop location? too?
Yeah, walking distance or driving distance or however it's measured. I don't know if it's measured in miles or.
It is. Yeah, and so depot stops are not walkable, but yes, it would include that.
Okay, write that down. So, and we don't have that? Or did we provide for that?
Our handbook, which has where the bus stop must be visible 500 feet in both areas. In residential areas, we provided all of the parameters and that we have to abide by and that we do.
The district shall ensure non-discriminatory access to using the bus for any services, activities, and programs. What do we provide for that? I'm just reading 10 now. You're right. What'd you call that report? It was eight, 9, We're just looking at for 10, the district shall ensure non-discriminatory access to buses for any services, activities, and programs. Which is the law of after-school request, right?
For that, we provided 24-25 transportation after school breakdown. A couple meetings in preparation for a couple meetings, with a Word document that has the school, the number of requested buses, the days in which the after-school activity is, and the hours depending on student ridership.
Did we get the, I don't think we got the disaggregate data for that either, like broken down from actual student level data.
I don't think we capture that data because that is. You get on the bus and you take it home. That's how it was in Miami.
I said,
Right.
And it varies.
you gotta give me anywhere.
Every day.
1 to 5 people.
Yeah.
To catch the bus.
So on typical Vero Beach, you guys, Vero Beach, number of buses requested, you do one Tuesdays and Thursdays. Depending on the number of students that show up.
Correct.
So does it, every Tuesday, Thursday, you provide a bus?
Right.
If I'm there for a chess club, I can get on the bus.
Get on the bus.
If I'm there for football, I can get on the bus. So because it's an activities bus, there's no requirement to pre-register for the bus. It's just a service that the schools are providing, really, because you fund it, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so what we provided is, I'm saying it's all the school. It's not Vero Beach, Treasure Coast, Vero Beach Elementary, Treasure Coach, IRA, Glendale, Fellsmere, Dodgertown. Dodgertown has actually 2. They have 2 buses on Tuesday and Thursday, 1 bus on Wednesday. Storm Grove has 2 buses. Sebastian River Middle School has 2 buses, 2 days a week. Oslo Middle School has 1 bus, 1 day, Tuesday, Thursday. Gifford, 1 bus on Thursday. The high school, 1 bus Tuesday and Thursday. Sebastian River High School. So, and it provides, what is this? I can tell you how we did it. I mean, in Miami, you got on there and the bus driver said address and recorded on a piece of paper,
Bus slips.
and then drove that. So there's, let me read the KPI again. The district shall ensure non-discriminatory access to using busing for any services, activities, and programs. And this, I mean, so once again, access is if you're participating in the club on those days, it's available.
Correct.
And I don't think, John's next question is gonna be, we don't know who is or is not getting on the bus. And there's no data. I
And
can go back.
nor do we know what activities are not being covered. So for instance, let's say that it's chess club on Monday and Wednesday. So now chess club does not have access to transportation after school. Could chess club feel like they're being discriminated against? I see Matt shaking his head, but still, like it's just having the data to be able to look, right? And if we look at the data that shows that chess club is covered one of their days, all of the activities are covered at least one day, then you can say, okay, it's non-discriminatory because the bus does run at least one day for each activity, as opposed to no days for certain activities. But not having that data, we don't even know if that's the case. And when I used to catch the bus after sports, the bus driver did have us sign our name, what we were participating in, and then our address before they dropped us off. That was getting on the bus.
So we have bus slips. We don't have drivers to take roll. They don't have to indicate what they're participating in, but I know just as a principal, when you request bus, those are the days all of your programs meet. So there's not programs that meet Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Your sponsors, if you're gonna request buses for Tuesday, Thursdays, those are your activity days. So all of your activities take place on those days and every student has access to a bus.
So football, volleyball, like football is Monday through Thursday, and then they play on Friday. So they just have transportation on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
No, they have transportation whenever they request. If they make their request for the after-school bus, the after-school bus is provided to them.
Monday, so it'll be every day, Monday through Thursday?
If they request Monday, Thursday, they'll have a bus Monday through Thursday.
Do you have like a calendar of like requests? So for last year, you have each month, like who requested what as far as the schools go?
I'm sure we can generate that report from Focus because the bus requisitions are entered in that manner.
Okay, and then how do we break down where we're able to see like ridership? Because I know you said that the school fills out the slip. Are they the ones who put like who's riding as
No,
far as students go?
no.
Okay.
The students are supposed to be using their Z Pass to tap on and off the bus, but I can tell you, just with regular AM and PM, we have concerns with that, but after schools, I can tell you they're not utilizing those at all.
Okay.
Say it's Tuesday and Thursday.
I'm gonna send IT to Kevin's house before the next meeting. I mean, we can go back and look, but I mean, we can look, at the end of the, I mean, it is a courtesy to maximize participation, and it's a cost that the schools have to absorb. So, I mean, I didn't even read off every school. I don't think I did. No, I didn't. So, I mean, I understand what the KPI is, but it's, if you don't provide, I guess you're not being discriminatory because you're not providing to anybody. Well, they can't afford it.
Right.
Yeah. All right, we don't get one today. We don't get one.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, perfectly.
Okay. So when the bus are being requested, does it also list which sports are being requested for that bus?
The report that I have here, Kevin, it identifies the schools for the 24-25 school year, the number of bus requested, the number of days requested, and the approximate number of hours the bus will be on the road. So Sebastian River Senior High School has requested buses on Tuesday and Thursday, as do most schools, because you never have the Tuesday and Thursday off. And then it's the hour says 1 to 1.5, depending on student ridership. So it fluctuates, and it goes back to Ms. Idalet's response. You know, on some Tuesdays, we got 10 clubs meeting because that's the day they meet. On other days, maybe it's, or late in another window of time, it's only 1 or 2 clubs meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, it is a courtesy bus in order to encourage students to participate in these after-school activities.
Okay. I think I don't, was thinking about a situation, Dr. Moore. I think you were here when there was, I think, some issue with baseball, and I'm also thinking about lacrosse. So if I didn't want, if I wanted to keep my specific group playing those sports, I wouldn't request a bus for that because I'd only want the parents who could afford to come to that program. So we can't tell if there's a lacrosse bus. We can't tell if there's another type bus, and that's just a side thought without that. But I see what we have, and it's so we just have the hours, the ride, the number of buses, the days serviced, and the hours. Okay, so nothing on student race, nothing on sport.
Okay. Middle schools Monday through Thursday on for sports.
They do, but it's understood when you are part of those teams that there's no possibility. Some of those teams, students.
Oh, they are, but
They after school.
Yeah.
So if they
Those
practice
days.
Monday through Thursday, there's after school buses on Tuesday and Thursday.
Tuesday.
May not be Monday through Thursday.
right. Yeah, I mean, it goes back to a similar conversation we had at the last meeting. This is a above and beyond request. The conversation we had before was around depot stops, in which we're providing the opportunity to maximize participation. But you're right, it's not every day of the week. And there are probably sports teams that are meeting Monday through Friday. And the system or the expense is not covered. I mean, otherwise we would provide, we just simply can't provide it to anybody. So as the KPI is written, if the criteria is to provide a ride home to Monday through Thursday for all extracurricular activities for students, regardless of color, we're not going to meet that criteria because we simply cannot afford to do so. So if that's and I get it. I mean, I understand what you're saying. I think from my stance, it's not even me. It's the schools are going above and beyond in raising funds to maximize the opportunity to participate as best they can, superseding any kind of expectation. So and I think it would be interesting, to Kevin and Rashawn's point, what days clubs are meeting, and maybe there's, well, if it's all clubs, I don't know the answer to this. If it's all clubs, then we're good. It's in clubs for these schools. And I would argue that we're good because it's, and then on tutoring, which I know 2 and 30, we're great there. And then on the other one would be the extracurricular sports. And I can't speak, but I know, I don't want to, sound like Teddy Bridgewater, but I know when football practice was over, everybody had a ride home. And a lot of that is coordinated, maybe not Ubers, I'm not saying Ubers,
Right.
but there was a way for kids to get home.
Yeah, I think honestly, like the data is really important, not only just for like discriminatory, right? But to really have an opportunity to look at who's utilizing it the most, right? And what barriers is this transportation eliminating? Because I've spoke to people who in generations before me said that they didn't participate in certain things or they didn't get certain support because they didn't have transportation. So transportation is extremely important in the scheme of really ensuring that each child gets what they need in order to be successful. So just having that data to break down and look at and see, okay, so what clubs are utilizing it the most? Yes, it's on the days that chess and rugby is happening, but they're not utilizing it. It's mainly being utilized by intermediate math or football or whatever, but just seeing who is utilizing it. And it also could help within scheduling based off utilization and the students who are using it. I mean, but it's good just to look at.
And Dr. Moore, to go with what Mashawn said, if you look at it from a football, basketball, or tracks perspective, it's majority African American. So Monday through Friday, they would need a ride. You know, if we went back, I know some days even when I played sports at Vero, we had to walk the tracks to get home. And some of these kids are eliminated, and I thought they had pay to play. That doesn't cover the cost of having a bus, you know, for these kids to get home so that they can have access to the potential to play these sports.
No, that would be, I don't even know, I mean, those are costs that are
Associated
with the sport. And there's means to have those covered as well, but I mean, that's not this KPI. All right, so we're not, I mean.
But I'm just saying, it's discriminatory if you're a kid that play football, basketball, or run track. Because the buses are only, we're saying extracurricular. The buses are only Tuesdays and Thursdays, but these sports are normally 4 days a week, sometimes 5. You know.
Oh, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. But it is, in my mind, very similar to magnet transportation. I don't know this to be a true statement, but I don't think other districts are providing after school buses twice a week, all year around. Period. So it's, you know,
We just have to look at the district, right? Is transportation a barrier for them? Because if transportation is not a barrier, then I would need to provide after school transportation for my extracurricular activities, because transportation is not a need or something that the students do not already have.
It's transportation is for any after school club or activity is an obstacle and or a barrier, a challenge for some. And if mom and dad have a job, regardless of your color, and you don't have a family who lives here, that is in fact a barrier. And it has nothing to do with the color of your skin. It's just a fact. So I don't, the system, the public education system doesn't provide after school transportation Monday through Friday in anywhere in the state of Florida. It just doesn't happen.
And let me add, it would also be a challenge to even support at that level.
Oh, no, but we'd have to rerun, we'd have to have a third route. So there's, I mean,
Yeah.
and I don't know how to capture this data, but in terms of participation and football, track, basketball, the participation is very good. It's very good. And we'll talk about that in that section. So
Orange County has partnerships when it comes to transportation.
I'm sorry, say it again, Rashawn.
Orange County has partnerships when it comes to transportation. Like the Orange County public schools, they have partnerships. So not only do they have like they have partnerships with Boys and Girls Club, they have partnerships with My Brother's Keepers, they have partnerships with My Sister's Keepers, they have partnership with Paramore Kids Zone, they have partnerships with the local transportation company, I forget the name, Links, in order to ensure like there is some type of support when it comes to activities.
And we provide transportation. They pay for it. Big brothers, big sisters. We provide routes to them. So we have similar, now I think there's, what is there, 4 or 5 places we provide transportation to?
Boys and Girls Club and Gifford Youth Achievement Center.
Okay.
It was Daisy Hope, but then their program.
So we do that as well. I would say there's also public transportation. I don't know how it's provided. I can check on that. That's A.
And at the high school, they go to the Dayport, they need to catch the
Right.
bus at the Dayport.
I don't know how we factor in the age though. Your juniors and seniors are
Oh, heck no.
They're going with a buddy and they're still participating, but they wouldn't count in their after school. They're not gonna go there. They're gonna go someone else. I don't know how we accurately capture that, but that's the reality.
So I don't know what else we could, as a KPI is written. It sounds like was this 11?
And
No, 10. Oh, we gonna get 11 though. The district shall ensure non-discriminatory access to busing for any services, activities, and programs. The fact that it says any services, activities, and programs, and it's only offered 2 days a week as a opportunity to increase participation. You know, as it's written, I think you'll say no, and then my stance will be is we're providing above and beyond services and support that does not cover the entire week. But given the reality of how public education has been for the last 50, it's been the case when I was a student. And we got an activity, it was Monday, it was, yeah,
Certain days of the week.
yeah.
And you'll say that your policy supports is sufficient evidence to show us that you met the KPI?
No, I'm saying the opposite. I think as it's written, the KPI is saying access to busing for any service, activities and programs. We do not do that. We do not do that. And maybe we should have caught it or debated it better in the creation of this KPI, because we provide services on Tuesdays and Thursdays at some schools, not all schools. But what I'm saying is anything that's provided in terms of an after-school bus is a above and beyond convenience to increase participation. Is it perfect? No. Is it every day? No. Does it cover sports that meet every single day or clubs that meet every single day after school? Obviously, it does not.
And how are the schools where the buses go are determined? Is that where you were saying, Ms. Eilert, they sign up?
The schools make the request. So
And the schools do they?
that.
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Do they have to cover the cost? The schools?
Yes, the schools pay the expense.
Okay.
And they pay it from their discretionary account. So it's either money that they would raise from fundraising or their discretionary money that they get to operate and run their school. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I think a little just more information, to say that there, transportation is not a barrier to any of these sports. And then Tony clicked off something. I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And clearly.
And then it's about time. You had to use another phone. Sorry, I couldn't use the computer. And Tony mentioned something that I remember, that when we went to the pay to play, and I don't know if the prices have increased, but I remember a huge part of those salaries went to pay the Vero Beach High School athletic director for Vero Beach, to pay that salary. I remember having that discussion. So there are, it's above and beyond, but sometimes the parents are paying for it if they can't afford to pay for it, which is, I guess that's where we're going, but still we need that assurance that there's no sport or no activity that's being barred by that. So I guess we can go on to the next one. I call the vote on this one, whichever you want to do. I guess I'm not the person for that, but I don't see enough here.
The only other thing that we can provide, which is more along the lines of what Marshawn is saying, to have a more fruitful conversation about it, is the schedules of what events, like to what impact. Is it just middle school sports? I think the answer is going to be every single middle school sport, because I drive home at 6 o'clock. They're still out there practicing Monday through Thursday. That's impacted. Do we know if it's all clubs? The answer is, as the KPI is written, no. In terms of how it's written. So I don't mind saying, and I don't think it's a lot of work, these clubs meet these times, so you know, or we all know, activities are Tuesday and Thursday at the middle schools and high schools, and we're being intentional to provide them those specific days. I would like to provide a response, which I'll have to get from the principals. You could probably, like, what do we do to get kids home? Are we organizing carpools? Is the basketball parent association doing? There's something happening, because participation is high, and it may not be a service, an unfunded, something that the school district isn't funded for, but is in fact being provided by community, whether it's community partners, whether it's parent, what do you call those things? The booster clubs. We don't know. So the only reason I would say don't vote is because I think I can provide more information to draw a better picture of what the reality is. But I am saying, as the KPI is written, it's I should have caught it. Maybe I went to the bathroom when we wrote this one, or more likely Dr. Shafi wasn't paying attention. So,
Additional question, please, Dr. Moore. When students, and if I apply to be on the cheerleading squad or the whatever activity it's going to be, is there a section that says, do I need transportation, or will transportation, so do you have applications for the kids to be in the sports, and they say that they will need transportation, or is it known that, I don't know, how are those known?
Because, I mean, that's a good question, and I'm sure when we get to the extracurricular activities, those applications for tryouts will be part of the evidence, and we'll be able to say, yes, that is there or not there. All right, the next one, the district being Ms. Idolette, will provide technical support, embedded professional development to student transportation professionals. You want to talk through what you do for that? We're going to pull up the evidence.
Sure. What we provided, we're
Next week, right? In 2 weeks?
back to school agenda. Ms. Idolette actually hosts the drivers here in this building to launch the school year. She also provided technical support and professional learning for 22-23 and 2023-2024. The similar rosters were provided as backup. I will tell you that I don't think you have rosters for it, but we know that technology is a challenge for some of our drivers, and Ms. Idolette has coordinated with our digital innovation team to go out to North County and meet drivers where they are to help them with anything that they need in an unstructured space, whether it's logging in to view paychecks or pay stubs or health insurance, whatever it may be. So anything the drivers need, Ms. Idolette has been incredibly responsive to those needs, which is why we are so fortunate every year to pretty much be fully staffed. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
I'm fully staffed, but I still, I like my 10%.
Exactly.
So I'm still a little nervous.
Okay.
But yeah, so to talk to that, because technology has always been a barrier for drivers and bus assistants. Once I identified the need, I did partner with our ID department And we do have a monthly Techie Tuesday at South County. We have a Techie Thursday at North County. So they come out, they offer tech support. That's with their online professional development, any type of, they have an app on their phone that they can use for clocking in and clocking out. So any type of technology that would be embedded in their work responsibility, we have tech support offered monthly
Well,
for all
and
transportation.
mandatory training.
And mandatory training, of course, yes.
You wanna go? Just, I don't know if it's in there, but
Mhm.
the required training to be on the bus, the darn 6 months it takes to get them certified,
Oh, the CDL,
as well as your 3-day training, because we do that training.
correct.
Right.
Correct. So yes, we offer all the mandatory trainings required within the department. And I've also partnered with Transportation Security Administration, who comes in every year and offer all types of security types of training. We have threat assessments. We do training with bus inspections. We may hide book bags or items that were not left on the bus, and we give the drivers a certain amount of time to identify what's on their bus that should not be there. So we go through quite a bit of training for our bus drivers to be able to keep their heightened awareness when it comes to security. We talk about perimeter arrivals, checking the perimeter of the school as they arrive to the school, checking the outlying factor of the campus to make sure they don't see any odd situations or circumstances to report. We do general student behavioral awareness, identifying a baseline for student behavior, and then when that student starts to skew either way, reporting it, trying to put supports in place. There's quite a bit of professional development that goes on throughout the year. De-escalation. We take training on McKinney-Vento, that's our homeless population. Throughout the year, there's always professional development going on just to make sure that drivers are on their A game when it comes to being their best for students.
My question is, with all that being said, and I applaud it, but the data shows that even with what you're doing, that kids of color are overly disciplined by drivers and the aides. I mean, you didn't mention conflict resolution or something specific to understanding that there's a problem when the paperwork shows that it's disproportionately kids of color that are being disciplined, even with the professional development.
I can speak to that, Mr. Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Every referral that is written has to be approved by management. That's myself and my 2 operations managers. So drivers are required to give 1 intervention before they go to a referral. Okay, so that could be a seat assignment, that could be a one-on-one conversation to reset expectations. Beyond that goes the first referral. The first referral goes in as a minor infraction. That's to alert the administration that the bus driver has already given the student a warning, and we need some assistance with talking with the parent and the student to set those expectations. If anything else continues to occur, then that is entered into the system as an online discipline referral. And I can tell you, the facts are the facts. The facts are the facts. Now, I can't say that I have not acknowledged on occasion, maybe once or twice, that there was a particular student and that a driver was riding up repeatedly. In that one instant that I have noticed that, we have called that driver to the office and we have talked through what is happening on the bus. What have you done to try to resolve those issues? And then we've also had to get the school involved, because if there's not progressive disciplinary steps being taken, then behaviors continue to occur. But I can tell you that when students misbehave on the bus, it causes a serious safety concern, and it has to be documented. And we have progressive disciplinary steps in order for those actions, those consequences to those actions to occur. Now, it may show disproportionate. If you say it does, then guess what? Those are the behaviors that need to be addressed so that we can create safe environments on our buses. But to say
So-
that targeting specific students by race, it's not happening.
88.8% of the out-of-school suspensions that are bus related are Black students, 11% white students. And so what you're saying is that is warranted.
So we don't handle transportation consequences. School administration handles transportation consequences based on our progressive disciplinary actions. So I can't tell you that I'm sitting next to the administrator to say that that administrator skipped the first step and suspended. I can't say that. But what I'm saying is the referrals that come into the office and that are entered are warranted.
Okay, because we also saw that 62% of the referrals were from like vague categories. 62% actually was transportation use only, which the definition was kind of vague for that. That was 62% of referrals for Black students. And
I can
then
explain
and
I
then
can
another one was unsafe behavior, which is also like a vague category.
Yeah,
Yeah, could you explain like how that works, what those are, the transportation use only, like what infractions fall under there? Because that infraction was also connected to a lot of the suspensions off the bus and out of school suspensions.
yeah. And unfortunately, when we enter the referral, we can't code it. So we can only use transportation use only. Once the administrator processes it, they're supposed to code that so you know what infraction they're receiving a consequence for. So if you're seeing a lot of transportation use only, that means that the administrator, once they process it, did not code it according to the infraction.
Okay, because for me it's given discriminatory, right? Because I'm looking at these same codings, transportation use only for white students, and they're not getting suspended. Like they're not getting suspended off the bus. They're not getting suspended out of school. So I would vote no on this, just because even the punishment is not aligning with the infraction when you compare race to race.
You really can't see the infraction because if it still says transportation use only, you don't know what the infraction actually is.
Where are you pulling
Right.
that down? Are you pulling it from, where are you getting that from, Rashawn?
From what we received from you all.
I think it's 814A.
Yeah, I'm looking at, and I see that, it says transportation use
812.
only.
Be false to them.
Black students, 6, is that what you're seeing? OER 6, Black students, 5, white students, 7 and 5. For that particular one. Parent contact, or out of school suspension. Well, maybe I'm looking at a different year. Hold on. Is it 1 year? Is it 1 year? It's all the same year. So when you look at,
Does it say what level infraction? it is?
I said, it says, just bus suspension. Oh, gosh. Oh, boy, hold on. Bus suspension, 154 incidents of bus suspensions for 76 Black students. And for white students, 116 occurrences for 71 students. But what's the ratio of Black students that ride the bus?
24%.
24?
24% ride the bus, yeah.
24% ridership, so that would mean that Black students are getting out of school suspensions at 2 times a higher rate than white students.
I think ridership is of the students who ride the bus, what percent is Black? Not 24%.
24%.
All right, fine. Let's listen. So there's no way that could be accurate. Oh, hold on, yeah, well, survey three, yeah, hold on 1 second. And I just, we're, right, yeah. Yeah, you can only look at if I'm a teacher and you wanted to say, are my actions consistent, you have to look at the students that I teach. You have to look at the kids that ride the bus.
What's the response in terms of the
You don't even tell me when I get a good answer.
And a step back to a quick question, with Ms. Idlet was talking, and so when the bus driver writes the referral, it gets into the hand of the dean, administrator, principal, whoever, and they were supposed to code it accordingly to what the
Infraction.
in order to the infraction, instead of leaving it transportation use.
Correct.
Oh, so that falls on administrator training then too, or okay, that's what I thought I heard. Thank you very.
And we kind of blurred into number 12, which is about the district shall ensure students' disciplinary action related to behavior.
53.
Yes, you want to go over that so you can.
So the ridership for just overall district in survey 3, which is we embedded that table within the exhibit document. Total percent transported Black African American is 53.1%. Choice percent transported Black African American is 43.3%. White non-Hispanic percent transported 27.7%. And then it should be choice percent transported white 12%.
So you want to say where you got that from? So
It's in the.
That the percentage of Black students transported, or the percentage of all of student ridership? Like of all ridership, how many students are Black and what does that percentage represent? 53% of Black students are transported, or 53% of all ridership is Black?
yes, the second one, 53% of all students who ride the bus are Black.
And where is that?
That's embedded in the total exhibit table. In the overall, we gave school by school race in 8.1, but then we provided in the updated document on page 7, the table with the district highlighted in yellow for an overall calculation.
Can you
Do
pull
we
it up?
do we have raw data?
Yep, the raw data
Okay.
is in the 8.1 folder.
Okay. So Adrian was asking you to pull it up. Good.
Sure.
Dr. Moore,
Yes, sir.
question, by the nature of its usage, 53% of bus ridership is African American, but 24% ride the bus. By the nature of that question, aren't they different?
Yeah, I just don't know where the 24% came from.
But they could be relative, right?
No, I think the appropriate number is the 54% of students who participate in bus transportation are Black. I don't know, 24% I don't know where that came from.
Or could it be 24% of the Black population? I'm just playing with numbers, because their usage can be, somewhat distorted. Just an observation.
I think it'd be better to get actual numbers instead of just the percentages. Like the percentages are calculated in the embedded survey, but instead of having total percentage transported, have total number transported, and that gives us like something that we can go back to, because then we can look at student enrollment and say, okay, on this chart we have 1,000 Black students transported, and we see that there's 1,500 enrolled, as opposed to seeing 36.5%
We provided
transported.
overall view just to make it easier, but in the folder by school,
Yeah,
you'll see
I'm gonna go back to it. I'm just saying, like, instead of me having to dig through my email right now, I could just look at this document and already have some numbers. That's all.
Hey, Matt, do you want to pull it? I think you're in the one I'm in. Do you want to pull it up?
Yeah, that's E.
That's the
Yeah.
that's the most recent survey window.
Yeah, I'll post E.
We provided overall in the table, but here are counts: total students, total transported count, percent by
So
location.
the discipline is provided on the district level. So this is the school level. So where is the district level? So we're comparing apples to apples.
The district level ridership,
Yeah.
that's the overall table that this is how these reports are generated for us. And we synthesized it to create the table.
Where's the overall table is my question.
Matt, can you pull that up, please?
I think you're talking about the percentages that you put there.
Mm-hmm.
Which one is that? Where is it?
The
They
last,
don't have a table with just the count numbers. They have it where they've calculated percentages. Because I know you're looking for count.
Where
The
is
most
it in this folder?
the most recent exhibit document that, or in this folder, actually, yeah. You go back to the main
Yeah.
folder.
Yeah, I got it. I think this is it. You'll tell me if it's not. Is it this one, Dr. Shafi?
I can't see anything yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should hit share.
There is a more updated one, but similar concept. This is the pivot table of percentages that the raw reports in the folder were used to generate.
We click on the percentage and then it show like the numbers behind the percentage, or no?
This is a Word document, so no.
No, okay.
It is 6:28. What's the work group's pleasure?
I mean, I was hopeful. We did not get where I wanted to get. I was really hoping to get to a space to, and our update to the court say we knocked out transportation. Obviously, that did not happen. I think there are some KPIs that I can provide additional information, but as they're written, we may not satisfy them. On the flip side of that, I think those would be opportunities to engage in dialogue or conversation about improving practice or advocating for additional resources to improve practice, and not necessarily a barrier or obstacle for obtaining unitary status based on how it's written on the agreed document, the joint plan. So I would like set another date. We'll provide very specific information that we have based on some of the conversations that we had. And then put all of the data for discipline on one screen, so we're not going back and forth to 2 or 3 as I see it, but this is my world. It's we just got to put all the data in one site to give us that information. We didn't vote on it, and we kind of bleeded away from it. I thought it was very clear to me that on number 11, the district provides technical support and embedded professional development for school transportation professionals. I felt very strong about that conversation, but we kind of bleeded into number 12, which was the disciplinary one. So if we can set a date, then we can come back, cover those last 3, and then review on that, and then just vote it out and see where we land.
We can vote on 11.
All right. Oh, vote on 11.
Well, don't let me speak for everybody. I'm sorry, how do y'all feel?
Matt can do his random generator.
I already did. Yeah. I just
Everyone
gotta
from
pull it up.
NAACP.
How do you feel, Tony? You ready to vote on 11, or because I know Tony was the one who had the question, so or you want to table it to next week?
Let's table it.
But if we did vote, what were you?
What say, Doc?
I said, but if you were going to vote, what were you? Which way were you leaning?
I was,
We'll start with that one.
yeah.
Let me just can you look at dates or remind me to look at dates?
Well, you're busy. We're going into schools.
But August, can we look at the? Oh, that's the first week of school. What am I looking? What the heck?
Well, you're in the second week. Students are back.
I don't know where I'm at. What about the last week in August? The 26th, which takes us back to kind of what our regular schedule was.
That works for me.
Day of the board meeting, we just talked about. Tuesday, August 26th.
That'll work.
Would you like to return back to 4:30 or you prefer a 5? I think we went to 5 because of Ms. Bearboard today.
5 is good.
5 to 6:30.
That works.
Okay.
August 26th, 5 to 6:30? Okay.
All right. And then were we going to talk about the July report to the court? If it's the work group's pleasure, the attorneys can work on it consistent with prior reports and make sure it's circulated before it's filed.
I feel like that might be the most efficient option. We know which ones we've agreed to that are satisfied, and that's the status of this report.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how much detail we would need to go into other than, the progress and that there has been consensus on some things. But I'll take a stab at that and get with Jody et al. Shortly.
Thank you.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you,
Enjoy
everyone.
your- Thank you.
Good night.